Hey guys, Aiden from the Marxist here, and I kind of wanted to avoid doing this video because, you know, the first one, a little controversial, but the video has absolutely blown up to proportions that I literally had no expectations of. So I guess I kind of owe it to you to like do I owe it to myself because I got an insane amount of hate on that video, and I want to I want to like start to like reclaim my name a little bit and like at least kind of like rationalize my thoughts, because I will say that at that time I was like super new to politics. I was extremely I was pretty much being a grifter. A lot of my beliefs are kind of just built on like me hating America and me just like being like an angsty teen more than like actually like any sort of introspection whatsoever. And I got a lot of things wrong in it because I just an inept amount of research. So I wanted to make this video just to kind of update and like make a better and more fleshed out tier list. My beliefs have changed a little bit, but I've stayed to like relatively to the point where I'm just a more realist now. Like I think in more of a standpoint about like just simply what works more than anything. But I mean, hey, we'll have some fun with this. Hopefully this one's better. Hopefully this one doesn't have like an outrage again, but I mean if it does, don't care. I mean, this is what I think, and I'm gonna be more rational though, I promise. I know I still don't know what I'm talking about in some of them, but I could try my best. All right, so I think this time I don't know if I want to really mess with the tiers at all, because let me see. Maybe I'll change S tier, but last time I had like my tier names just made no sense. They were way too specific and like just kind of a bad way to like foundation everything. So this one I'll just put like I'll just name this based. That's it. I'm not nothing too rash, of course. But this time my entire basis is how much I like how much I agree with this belief, like how much I agree with like this ideology. Not how applicable applicable is gonna matter, because if I think they're not gonna work, obviously I'm not gonna agree with them. But generally this time it's about how much I agree with the belief. No other like stupid dumb like reasons where I just switch like shit up mid video and I just go with like a different like foundation for everything, because like I did that a few times where I would contradict myself, because one thing I would put it somewhere because of like a certain way I thought about it, and another one I would put it somewhere else. Like it, how much I like it. I'm setting the boundaries here. If I mess up, you can feel free to let me know in the comments, but I'm making it known now so everybody understands what I'm going with instead of just whatever the hell I was doing last time. So, all right, we're gonna start with accelerationism. Also, I'm gonna not be as specific possibly as my last video, but I'm still gonna go relatively in depth just for people that don't know like the ideology. I mean, more basic stuff I probably won't touch on too much, but like some of these are like just so vague and so like odd that it doesn't even really it kind of needs to be explained a little bit. Some of them I'm still a little hazy on, so I apologize if I get something wrong. You can let me know in the comments. You know, just keep in mind that there are a lot of them on here. I'm bound to mess at least a few up. Little more than a few. But all right, we're going to start with accelerationism. This one's a little bit like base level. This one essentially just like claims that just by speeding up the process of capitalism, it's going to eventually like crumble like due to internal contradictions, which at one point I was a little more like probably leaning towards up here, but as like I've learned more about it, like I do think that this is possible, but I think that once one capitalist system collapses, it's not going to become socialism. We're going to start a new capitalist system up, because like people, just because something failed once doesn't mean people are going to be instantly willing to go with something else. Like they're going to want to try again. That's just the case. So I'm thinking a good B to C for this. I'm gonna put in B because we have a lot of bad ones on here that are definitely gonna fill up those lower spots. So I have to make sure to save that a little bit. Okay, so agorism is basically like a voluntary exchange kind of like system where people like, and that's essentially like the main gimmick of it. Like all kind of relations are just voluntary exchanges. There's no like corruption, anything bad going on with it. Which, hey, in theory, I don't like. I do. All right, so this is going in C solely because do I think that it is something that could work in the modern world at all? No. Do I think that it could work on a smaller scale as opposed to a larger scale? Yeah, but overall, I think it's a little too like I don't think it would work necessarily with the kind of like the way that society just is in general in a modern way. So next we have agrarianism, which is basically a lot of like just a gigantic like farming kind of industry, lots of widespread property ownership and like political decentralization, which overall, I mean, I don't have an issue with it. I think there are like farming industry as a whole and like this kind of system. I think that it could be relatively like a positive note. I mean, like political decentralization. Obviously, I'm kind of all for it, so that does work for me in general. I'm gonna end up contradicting that somehow. I know it, but I think I like it. I like the idea of it. Um, so I'm gonna give it. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a B tier for now. I don't. I feel like I'm gonna end up having to shift things a little bit, like as we get into, because again, like there are just so many that like to try to like base it on everything early. I just don't think I'm gonna be able to. American conservatism. I think generally most people watching this are just gonna understand this. Basically, just like the idea of like maintaining social order, the like traditional values of the country and stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna put an F tier because there are simply worse things than this. I mean, do I think this is real bad? I mean, I made a whole video about it, yeah, but there are some funny things on this tier list, so I'll definitely save that space. Base anarchism. I don't probably need to explain much about this. I mean, it's also just not very like practical. I mean, the idea like anarchism is chaos. It's not something that can work like in general. I mean, do I think like it conceptually, like from like an idealistic standpoint, there's merit to it, yes, but I think like overall it's kind of insane to believe that this is something that could actually work, which is why I'm gonna put it with agorism, because I kind of have the same belief that I have with both of them. Anarcho-capitalism, um I don't think, okay, it's not F tier, it's not F tier. I'm gonna put in D tier as well. I mean, I don't, again, I'm not like super anti-market like I used to be, but I think that the idea that a capitalist, like an anarcho-capitalism system could function where we don't have a government that could actively protect consumers from getting exploited by like these richer and like stronger like corporations that are going to take control of people. I think it's kind of like an insane belief to think that that's something that we can maintain. And I think it would fall apart in a very, very quick manner. Anarcho-communism. I mean, okay. So I'm gonna put it, okay. I'm gonna put it in B tier. And the reason why I'm gonna do this, actually, I'm gonna put it in B tier. Because again, I said how much I said I'm gonna like go with how much I agree with like the policies. The reason why it can't be higher is because I don't think that it is a realistic governmental system that could be implemented again. So it can't be ranked higher. But I do like, I agree with like a lot of like the like social values and beliefs in the concept of it, and like it is like an idealistic society for me. But I just don't think I don't think that it is something that we can do. So that's why I can't put it any higher. So I think B tier works for it. I would have had that. I think I probably did have that top tier in my last one. Anything communism, I probably immediately threw in the top tier. Anarcho-fascism. I'm just simply not explaining that one. Anarcho-feminism is essentially anarcho-communism, but like somehow from like a weird feminist lens. I'm not gonna explain much to it. I'm just gonna throw them in the same tier because they're essentially the same based on kind of what I've read. I think like this one just has like a goal to like combat feminism by transition to anarcho. I don't know. To me, honestly, I don't know why it's an ideology. Like I just don't simply think anybody identifies as this. So hey, who am I? Anarcho-monarchism. to me this is just really oxymoronic, and I'm not necessarily, I don't see how like this makes any sense. I'm gonna have to put this in F tier solely because like it literally doesn't make sense. Like I don't understand how the two things that kind of directly contradict each other can function. I genuinely, I'm bewildered as to how this could, like, if someone could tell me in the comments like what they're trying to say with this, I would appreciate it, because I don't know. This one, last time I made this, I have no idea why I put this higher. This was like, it was literally, it had to be some sort of like, I want to like say something controversial kind of belief. It kind of just contradicts itself. I mean, you can't be like something advocating for the rights of the people that is actively oppressive to like certain different groups. It doesn't add up. It is literally a direct contradiction, just like anarcho-monarchism. So, and it's even worse. So I have to put it down there. Anarcho-nihilism. So basically, this one, it follows like the nihilist kind of belief where like life is kind of without like an objective like purpose. So like society, the state, and morals don't really have any grounding, is kind of what I gathered from it, which I don't agree with. I don't think it's F tier. I could even C. Nah, I don't think it's C tier, because these like I like some of their ideas. This, don't like the ideas. Don't think it's as bad as these. I can't really get behind it. Anarcho-pacifism, pretty much just simply I think it's the idea that we can achieve an anarchist society through a pacifist way, which like it literally, I'm sorry if you think that. I don't really have many words to you, quite frankly. I mean, come on. Anarcho-primitivism. I enjoy porn. I mean, I respect a man's honest work. Nah, if I'd have to put it like, I think agrarianism doesn't necessarily reject some of that. Like, okay, it has to go down here, but agrarianism doesn't reject technology as an idea. It's just like the way they want things set up. So I'd have to put primitivism lower, because that genuinely like return to monkey kind of shit, and like just not for me. Anarcho-syndicalism is basically like an kind of like an anarcho-socialism kind of thing, where like we have like these worker syndicates, from what I gather, that run things, which this is gonna be my first A tier. I can't put it in base because, again, like I think anarchy, like any sort of anarcho system is always hard to like assess as like, will this ever actually like probably work or be implemented in a proper way? No, but like, I mean, so I can be a realist, I can be idealist. I like to think of it from both lenses, and like that's why, again, things that I agree with but I don't think could be implemented can still be ranked high, just if like I really like truly like agree with them. Like anarcho-syndicalism, I think this is based, super based. Do I think that we can implement it in a very efficient way? Not with the current like way of life that we have. Anarcho-transhumanism, this one. So this one's like literally some like, we need to like progress to the level where politics, nothing really matters, and everybody's just like an invincible like cybernetic like it's like, it's some real big idealistic kind of guys. I'm gonna throw it directly in the middle because like I mean, does it sound kind of cool, bro? Some big cyberpunk shit where like everybody's just invincible and there's no reason to have any politics. Yeah, but like, is this going to ever happen? Probably not. But hey, it's the thought that counts, of course. Anti-radicalism. I mean, they're like, all right. Since I am like relatively radical in my beliefs, I have to put like, I'm gonna have to put this one a little, like, I'm definitely putting this one low. I'm not putting F tier, put it in D. My issue with this, actually, now I have to put an F, because this is pretty fucking like regressive kind of shit. No. My issue with anti-radicalism is essentially, well, number one, there is a level of like homophobia and probably racism into that, but I don't like, I mean, moderates to me don't just tend to not get shit done, and like it annoys the hell out of me. I mean, that's why I'm far left, and I believe in that, because I think yeah, it's just a quick rant on moderates, bro. They don't get shit done. Simply, that's it. Not explaining anything more. Apoliticism. I mean, I'm just gonna throw it in D again. I can't put it down here, but like, I think politics is like way too important to not be at least a little bit in like the politics sphere, because like everybody, a lot of people around you are going to like know a lot of things about like politics, the economy, and all this. And I feel like if you don't, it's easy to get exploited and easy to not know. Like obviously, like people understand their base rights and like know things. And I know I mentioned this in the last video, but just to clarify more, I understand that we still know our own human rights, but they're like in more like sneaky and like, you know, like decisive ways people can exploit you, I feel like, if you're not as into the political sphere as others. So I think it's still important, and I think we have to like I think that like being into politics is a pretty big thing. Authoritarian capitalism. I quite frankly, I don't really want to try to pronounce that. I know. Okay, so basically, Arab nationalist, kind of like obviously anti-Zionist, makes sense. Uh, I can't like speak on this one too much now. All right, it is going in F tier for the record. It is like it's going in F tier. But hey. But it's basically it's like an off left kind of society, Vanguard Party system. But my issue with it is it's like a national. It's also nationalism, which I'm not a big nationalist guy personally, you know. Just saying. But all right. So this was one of the ones that I did not know last time, so I'm just gonna throw it at the bottom here. If someone knows what that is, feel free to like educate me. There were a couple that I just couldn't really find like the like what it was. Capitalism. So before I probably put this down here or down here. Now I would probably lean more towards putting it. I'm gonna put it here because it's going higher, because even though I don't necessarily agree or like enjoy some of the like the ideologies and systems of capitalism, I do have to acknowledge that capitalism is and has been the best economic system that we've ever had. Like from the standpoint of like overall, like generally human rights and like economic progression, like it just has been the best. So I have to give it that kind of merit, or one of the best, of course. I mean, they're, you know, socialism, but I have to give it that merit. And like with my like increase in economic knowledge, I think capitalism, I don't have as much of a bad taste about it as I used to. Do I still like think that it can be very oppressive and that a government invention is necessary to protect people? Yes, I do. But I understand that that it is the best system we've ever had, and I will acknowledge that. I'm going to swallow my pride. Capitalist communism. So someone in my comments on my last video that I made of this said that what this is it's not that like it's a direct, it's like both of them at the same time. It's that it's probably a capitalist society ran by a communist party. So essentially that would be like China. Yeah, F tier, because like when you're running in an oppressive system, and you're running an oppressive system and an authoritarian left ideology for like social values, that's probably one of the worst combos you can get, because they're obviously they're greeting with the capitalist system in general, and obviously China's living condition isn't great, and they mask themselves as a communist party to kind of make themselves look better to like the people, because you know they try to look like they're for the people, but in reality, I mean, I don't think you can possibly be a communist party and run a capitalist system and not be dishonest. Centrism. I've always said this, I don't believe in centrism. I don't think anybody is a centrist. I think, which I guess kind of everybody probably believes that, but like just to say, like I think you always lean in one direction, and even if you're slightly in one direction, you still, that's what you are, and that's fine. I mean, so just because I don't believe in it, I'm just gonna throw it in F tier. I mean, it's not necessarily terrible, I just don't believe in it. So like the idea of it isn't like necessarily terrible, like being able to, you know what, I'll put it in C because of that, because I think the idea that like you can kind of listen to everybody's, like, you know, listen to everybody and actually accept all different kinds of like messages is a good thing. I just don't think that this specific ideology is what describes. I know there's another one that's similar to that. Christian democracy. I'm a pretty secular person, so overall I don't really enjoy when religion is going to be used like with the government and coexist with it for decision making. So this also is gonna have to go down there. Civic nationalism is nationalism that nationhood is based on common values of the people within the nation, which I think that's used pretty frequently. And basically, like, the primary pillar of being a member of a country is citizenship above all other things. Yeah, not an ideology I agree with overall. Probably F tier, probably not. I wouldn't even put I can't put this in F tier either. This I'm willing to keep there, but we're probably just gonna stick with that. Okay, so classical liberalism is more of like, it's more of like a penned idea than an actual ideology, because this is kind of just other ideologies. But basically it's the idea that like laissez-faire would be the most balanced economical equilibrium with a free market, and as long as monopolies were prevented, everything would be all right. I think that 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 idea, I can kind of subscribe to the concept of it. I'm gonna put it here because to me these are essentially similar. The capitalism, like, again, capitalism needs to be, I think, specified more, like capitalism base level. I could even see that going down, this staying up, because classical liberalism is what I would like from capitalism. The idea that as long as like we are preventing monopolies and protecting consumers, I'm like, that is ideal to me. But I'll keep them on the same tier for now. If I have to make any movements again, I'll probably do that more towards the end, or when we have a lot more in and I need to start shifting stuff around. Communalism, basically complete collectivization of all property, private, personal, or public. Far left. I mean, that's kind of based. That's kind of based. Do I want to throw it in based? Yes, I do. Okay. Next question. Communist monarchism. I grabbed the wrong one there. I don't. Hold on. Let me pull that up here. I don't know where it was, but we're just pretend like it was there. Conservatism. I mean, America. Okay, American conservatism is definitely worse. So I, I don't want to put it on the same tier. I don't care. All right, conservative liberalism. So it's economically center right to right wing, and then civically liberal and culturally center right to right wing ideology. So basically, it likes some liberal values such as free markets, free trade, individual rights, and freedom of speech, and then a more traditional like conservative stance on like social and ethical matters, which like immediately throws it off for me. And then now we have conservative socialism, which is economically left wing, culturally right wing, which like, well, okay, yeah. We got the British ideology. I'm not gonna put it down. Like constitutional monarchism. The thing about constitutional monarchism is half the time the monarchy actually has like essentially no powers. So like, I would say it's probably a whole lot better than regular monarchy. So I can say I'll put it in D. Definitely not going any higher than that. Corporate Buddhism's another one that I do not know. That like, I think it was three that I like didn't know, and so hey, again, if you know, let me know. I'd appreciate it. Council socialism is a left wing communism, and it's a workers' council kind of system, which again kind of based. I'm not gonna put an S tier because I think that like ideally I love it. Realistically, I think there is a merit to it, but I think corruption could is a pretty big issue there that you kind of need to look at that could easily be taken advantage of. So next one, democratic monarchism. Not necessarily sure how this one works. Someone could explain to me, but based on like face value, it's gonna have to go down here. Democratic socialism. To me, that's one of the best like forms. I mean, the democratic socialism is essentially what a lot of like mid to far left people are, and I think it's the most realistic form of socialism because a lot of the other ones are too idealistic and like way too just I hate America, I don't want anything to do with it, I'm gonna go against it. Democratic socialism has merit to it, and the con like I would look into it more yourself because like I'm not gonna explain it too much, but I think it's a more realistic form of socialism, and it still is going to have some of those capitalist like ideas in it incorporated in it, and that makes more sense in my opinion. Distributism, basically it's a free market system with a center right kind of culture, but it's like a authoritarian left system overall, which like I mean, you know, can't mess with it. Next is eco-anarchism. So basically, this is not an ideology, like overall. Like this is kind of, it's just kind of the idea that like humans don't really have a hierarchy over animals, so we shouldn't eat animal products. Which I can't say all right. Do I get why? Like I think for the environment and some things there is merit to this, but I can't agree with it. Personally, I like me a good steak. I like me a nice burger. Just me. Hey, we don't have to agree. That's fine. Eco-socialism, basically the idea that like reduction of CO2 emissions in a socialist style are complementary to preventing pollution, and capitalism is basically the main reason why we have a lot of like issues like global warming and stuff, which I subscribe to pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm not gonna put it base. I'm gonna put it in A. I do actually believe that. Next is egoism, which is basically like you emphasize oneself over any other kind of like guiding principle. The individual should do as they please, not bound by any government or moral code, which is kind of psychotic in my opinion. Like because I mean, do we know what kind of people live in this world? Let's be real. Environmentalism isn't an ideology. It's just the idea that we should care more about the environment, essentially. I mean, you can be more specific about it, but like it like even like from what I've read, it doesn't actually fit into the quadrant. It's just like a generalization of all the other ones. But well, I mean, it's based. I agree with it like completely. There isn't really any way that I don't. Fe- Feminism, again, not an ideology, but hey, I do agree with it. I mean, I'm just going to put it in based. I shouldn't really need to explain myself, hopefully. Um, Feudalism, super outdated, obviously, kind of psychotic belief. Geo-libertarianism is economically center right, culturally, like, can kind of vary, and, like, anti-authoritarian ideology, and, like, it's laissez-faire free market. And except for, like, I believe, like, a singular land value tax, so, like, it's, like, kind of, like, it's kind of an L. Like, I mean, it's not as bad as these, but just not for me. Georgism is, I think, pretty similar, where it believes that generally all taxes should be like taken out and like and harmful monopolies, and that there should just be one tax, and that's the land value tax. Um, kind of more base than this. Can't put it too high. Actually, no. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in D tier. Um, I mean, at least you like the environment, I guess. I'll put you in D tier. Green liberalism is like tight regulations on environmental related like pollution issues and just like liberal ideologies overall. So I mean, It's fine. I mean, I'll put it on the same tier. Green libertarianism is, again, basically like I like the environment libertarian. Little worse for me. I mean, I'll have to probably put it there. This is some like 1984 ass shit. Like literally like beehive, like trans, like insane, like we're all just a part of one color. It's all right. I don't have to, I should not have to explain why this 1984 ass shit is bad. This one too. I'll just throw this one in a while. Like they're just that bad. Okay. Hopinism is conservative anarcho-capitalism, culturally right-wing tendency with anarcho-capitalism, and it like emphasizes like exclusionary behavior, like ostracism, and then like communitarianism, social conservative. It's not good. Hoaxism. I know this is this is the original ideas of Enver Hoxha. I know it's very like far left authoritarian, like anti-revisionist capital or communism, which I will always say cannot agree with. I'm not gonna put it. Okay, it's still something that I could agree with in certain ideas, but I will never understand the idea that like classical like Marxism is something that is actually reasonable. It's not. Simply is not. Hate to drop the ball on you guys. Sorry, my comrades, but it's not. It's psychotic to believe that, in my opinion. Identitarianism is like a pan-European nationalist, like far-right ideology, like asserting the right of like European ethnic groups and white people to Western culture and territories claimed to belong exclusively to them. It's going in F tier. Integralism basically believes that there should be a fully integrated like social and political order based on converging patrimonial inherited political, cultural, religious, and national traditions of a particular state. Islamism North Korean Kim dynasty belief. A lot of them. I'm starting to fly through some of these bad ones. Okay. Kahanism, religious authoritarian, culturally and economically far right ideology. Some Jewish nationalism kind of stuff. Not for me. Liberal conservatism, basically conservative economically, liberal socially, which I mean, like, I don't actually. I don't actually hate that. I don't. To me, that's just capitalism or like Democrat, like being a Democrat. It's essentially being a Democrat. So I guess I'd have to put that up here. But I don't want to put it in C. Liberalism, I mean, just the base level. I would have probably had this lower at one point. I'm gonna put it in B with green because like it is. This is actually gonna go up one because like this is worse, obviously. Libertarian market socialism and libertarian socialism. For me, these are both based. These are, I would say, actually, whoa. This one is libertarian socialist market. This one's gonna go in A. This is my political ideology, I would say. Maybe just market socialism. I'd say just both of them fit, but overall, those are my beliefs. Libertarianism, D. Next is longism, which is a statist alt-left ideology, kind of like center, I think, culturally. And it's based on Huey Long, which was like a governor from Louisiana or some shit like that. You believe in capitalism, but they want to like heavily regulate the markets. A little more base than your average capitalism, but like there is still some strangeness to it. Luxemburgism, which is Marxist, communist, libertarian, anti-war, radical feminist, extremely progressive, dictatorship of the proletariat. What more can I say? Kind of based. Maoism. Marxism Leninism is going in base tier, not because I think that it is applicable and is a working system. I think that the foundation of it is so important that because of all that's spurred off of it, that it deserves to be in base solely because of that. Because without what Marx wrote, would we be talking about some of like socialism and some of these other beliefs? Possibly, but would it be the same thing it is today and like the same beloved like political system and like all the beliefs and social values that came from it? Probably not. So I think it's that important that it has to be up here because I don't agree with Marxism Leninism as an idea. I agree with it as a foundation. I do agree with it somewhat as an idea, and I agree with a lot of what Marx said, but not totally like all of it. But I think as a foundation for all the beliefs that is created, I think that it deserves to be in based alone for that. Mercantilism is like a merchant trade economy. Yeah, overall, I mean, it's not as it can be in C. I think there is merit to it. Minarchism is like, I know it's like a small government. State intervention is minimal, unless like of course needed. I need a little bit more of it, a little bit more. Uh Mutualism, economically left-wing, pro-market, anarchist, and culturally variable ideology. Yeah, a little too much going on here. Overall, I still agree. I still agree with how it, from what I know, it is. So I'm gonna have to go with it. National anarchism, too reactionary. National Bolshevism, again, nationalism. It can be higher than some of these, but still. National conservatism, whew. Nationalism, Nazism, neoconservatism, neoliberalism, neo-reactionarism. Oh, it's not a hard time. One nation conservatism. Paleo-libertarianism. Well, it's a libertarian sub-ideology of some sort, stresses inherent incompatibility between cultural egalitarianism and progressivism and inclusionary and the concept of liberty. Paleo-conservatism. Okay, this one. Piranism. Left ideology, statist populist, and sometimes considered authoritarian because of like some weird indoctrination stuff they're on. It's like way too vague though, like, and it's like every time it's been like somewhat practiced, it's been used like in different ways. So I have to put in C because in some essence, there has been times where it seems kind of based and makes sense, and there's been other times where it's like shit. So I can't necessarily put it anywhere too high. Okay. Pinochetism is economic right wing based on obviously Augusto Pinochet. Opposes like all left. I mean, not for me, obviously. This one's kind of like ironic, I'm pretty sure. Like it's like a weird it's a weird ideology. It doesn't make much sense to me, so I think it's satire. Platformism is an ideology that seeks unity from its participants, kind of like tightly organized anarchist organizations. It sounds kind of base to me, not gonna lie. Pol Potism, post-sadism. This is basically the one where it's like we gotta nuke everybody so like we can return to monkey, kind of like on some like weird shit. Yeah, obviously kind of insane. To achieve socialism we gotta just destroy everybody. I mean, even if that's true, I'm not sure I want that. Progressive conservatism, cultural left and like cultural right or moderate left and authority. It's kind of all over the place. Not for me. Progressivism as an idea, based, of course. What else? Queer anarchism is another one of those like stupid ones where it's like, to me it's like these two are the same, and like they're like, I don't understand. I guess like it means like to solve like LGBT issues we have to instate an anarchist society or something along that lines, which I don't understand. Radical centrism is a person who describe or like pretty much describes a person who's like who advocates for like radical change and measures, but like emphasizes pragmatism over ideology, which like is kind of based, like is like actually kind of based. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna put it in B because like actually I'm gonna put it in A, like kind of based. That like I think listening to all sides is just a W overall. I'm putting it in based. The more I think about it, it's got to be in based. Social Darwinism is basically the idea that like people should be able to do whatever the fuck they want. Natural selection, like let me kill you if you die. Skill issue society, of course. Social democracy, culturally left generally, strong like welfare programs, unionization, vast regulation. There's still like a decent bit of capitalism like in there. They're more of like on like reforming capitalism than just like off regulating. Yeah, I think this is kind of based. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say fully based because I think you still need to put a level of socialism in there, but I think markets still need to exist. I'm putting this in base the more that I think about it. Yeah, big indecisive kind of guy. Social liberalism, economically center left, civically liberal, culturally progressive political ideology. Combines elements of like liberal democracy and economic interventionalism. Kind of based. This one, on the other hand, not as much. Still all right. Conceptually based. Conceptually not based. Kind of in that Nazbol like weird, like anti-Semitic, racist, ableist beliefs. Yeah, not for me. Technocratism supports like a system of governance in which decision makers within the area are selected based on their based on like their like intellectual ability and expertise in these fields, which I think is based. I think that the people most qualified to run should run. Simply. I think that's kind of based. I don't know. Okay, Titoism. I believe this is one of the ones that people got mad at me last time for the way that I ranked it. Center right kind of belief, culturally kind of in the middle. Elimination of like ethnic and religious identity. I know, like in favor of like a unified like ethnic group. Like it. I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, transhumanism, ideology. Like we already went over this. This is just instead of being like anarchy, I guess like I don't really understand how this one's different than the regular other one. Like I don't. So I'm gonna put it in the same tier. I'm gonna put it in the same tier because I think either way doesn't matter. Trotskyism is like intervening in other countries to try to spread socialism as an idea is like the main duty. And I mean, I'll put it in B. Put it in B. Actually, I'm gonna put it in B because sometimes that can be a little dangerous when you're intervening. You might like get a little violent. Not for me. Okay. This is like modern day China as well. This one's just a more specific. Pretty bad. Zionism's Jewish nationalism. Believe pretty much like believes that like that the Jewish people should be fighting for their homeland and like in Israel and like all. Yeah, not for me. Yeah. No, no, not at all. This is, well, terrible. Instead of establishing socialism after we nuke everybody, anarchism. Much better, of course. Pan-national. Oh, we got a couple of them here. Yeah, both. Okay. Basically, like, I mean, you just want to have like a high nationalist ideology. It can be essentially, it's basically Zionism, but for these. So it has. I have to put them both down here. They're both all equally as bad, I would argue. Autonomism. I said that right. Okay. Anti-authoritarian form of Marxism wants the working class to force changes without the state, trade unions, or political parties. Do I think it would work? No. Do I kind of like find it a little slightly based? Yeah. C. Actually. C. Conservative liberalism is what we are on. Did I not do this one already? Conservative libertarian. Well, I can tell you now it's going there. So this one, De-Leonism. I'll pronounce it like that. I know it combines syndicalism with orthodox Marxism, which again I've already spoken to how I believe about orthodox. But the difference is kind of with it is it believes like in a political party that should try to get to power through democratic elections instead of like revolutionizing, which I tend to generally not agree with, but otherwise I agree with a lot of it, so it has to still be there. Guild socialism is another kind of union system, but instead we have trade guilds as like and worker ownership of the means of production. But I think like these guilds are still, it's still in that kind of area frame. Where did I put that? I put it here. Okay, so it is going to go in A. This is extremely nationalist Islamic, but yeah, anti-feminist beliefs. This one's like really weird. I believe it's like some weird shit like human. Okay, it has something to do with human excrement as like fertilizer and like that we should like use it because it's important. It's kind of disgusting. Okay, Kemalism is nationalist, moderately authoritarian, secular, and culturally progressive. Occupies like a moderate position-ish, and in like that off left area, which I'm not a big fan of it, but that's about all I got for you though to explain it necessarily. It's kind of on the vaguer side. I mean, it's got to go in D, just not something that I agree with. Phalangism is a authoritarian nationalist kind of like, but like from Spain like perspective, which like it's still just equally like they're all just as bad as each other in my opinion. Okay, Nasserism supports leaders such as Saddam Hussein. Yep. Okay, Mobutism is nationalism, revolution, authenticity. I like revolutions, don't like nationalism. Can't put it there. This was another one I didn't know, so I'm just gonna move this over here a while. Khomenism, yeah, it seeks to like revolt and establish Sharia law. Center left ish kind of. I mean, I guess if I had to go, like, sure. Animal welfareism basically believes that like all species are equal and should be treated as equals. That's about it. That's essentially it. I don't agree with that. I simply do not agree with that. Bonapartism, alt-right in today's standards, but like it was actually left compared to like back then, which is oddly enough, just kind of funny. But I mean, imperial like it's just all kind of bad anyway. I'll put it in D though, just for the fuck of it. Actually, I'll put this in C then because this one, like, I don't think it's unreasonable. I just don't agree with it personally. Like, simply just the way it is. Christian anarchism. Yeah, not with the religious. Classical Marxism. I actually would genuinely almost be. I am willing to put this here, and I'm going to put this here. I am not going to put this here actually, because Stalin. I think Stalinism worse. I'm gonna put in D, because again, I will say this. I'm gonna say this a million times. Classical Marxism is an outdated ideology that needs to be reformed to actually function in a modern society. If you cannot accept that, I think you are just being more anti-American or anti-capitalism than actually being pro-communism, because if you knew a shred of information, you would understand that classical Marxism as an idea is outdated. I mean, we love reforming a lot of things. Things need to be updated to fit modern standards. It's simply how it is. Anyway, now that my rant is over. Corporatism, authoritarian, like a big corporation kind of guy. In that sense, I guess, like in that kind of authoritarian. I'm just gonna throw it an F tier. Okay, this one is Erdoganism is basically like reactionary alt-right, believes that the Republic of Turkey should engage more with the former Ottoman territories, but like that alt-right reactionaryism, can't mess with it. Gaullism is economically center to center left, culturally right wing, democratic but somewhat paternalistic. It's weird. Statist, like moderately nationalist. It essentially, that's the overall rundown of it. I know it's based from Charles de Gaulle. Yeah, it's not great. I mean, it's not as bad as some of these, but it's not great. Big revolution. I think that this has to go in base for me, because again, this is another foundation. What this created, I think, is more important than it in and of itself. But I think that enough is to move it up into based. Basically revolutionist, extreme, like, you know, that like leftist, culturally variable, but like we're just gonna pretend like it's left. Anyway. Still going in F tier. It's equally as bad. This one could arguably be worse because it's more more in a theocratic way. Okay. Authoritarian ideology. I know that's a Hindutva. I don't like trying to pronounce these things. Without like a fixed economy, like more of a market, like normally though with like collective welfare. It believes that India is like fundamentally like Hindu, and so it's just way too religious stuff. Ho Chi Minh thought as a concept is something that I've always been extremely in agreement with. Out of all of like the big communist like belief systems, this is probably the one I agree with the most. Based, I think it's one of the ones that work the best too. Legalism is like an anarchist ideology and philosophy which claims that like criminality is just like another lifestyle. People can just like do whatever they want. Who cares? Yeah, kind of questionable. Jacksonianism is based on Andrew Jackson. It believes agrarianism, universal suffrage, unless you're non-white or a woman. Manifest Destiny, popular. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. It is really bad. Metaxism is corporatist, culturally far right, constitutional monarchism. Ordoliberalism, center right economically, culturally variable, but like never going too far to the right. Son of liberalism and social capitalism. It's like in between laissez-faire and like regular liberalism. It's okay. Okay, Pen Castilla, basically belief in one god kind of thing. Like again, like radical religious stuff, can't mess with it. Post-leftism is like a legalism again, but like it rejects some of the leftist ideologies of it's essentially the same thing. I don't really know why they're separated on here. I'm just doing it because it's on here. I think it's stupid. I think it's satirical, and if anything. Speaking of course, based, not elaborating, thank you. These are the ones that I didn't know. We'll put this in the old save it. Actually, can I get like a nice like, yes, okay, let me like, after I figure out how to zoom out. Yes. All right, I got like in here. I'm trying to like fit it all into one page, but it's like gigantic. You get like a fine tune. And bottom row doesn't matter. Essentially, this is the rundown of it. I'm not going to change anything like I said I was, because I think overall this is probably pretty good. Shouldn't need to change much. But a lot of, I'd say a decent bit has changed overall. I've definitely cooled off a little bit with like that super radical, like drifty shit. Overall, I think this one's going to go down much better, and I hope that people actually come and watch this one, because I think I make more sense in it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. This has been Aiden with the Marxist. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you want to see more like political videos, especially stuff like this, make sure to follow our newsletter, The Marxist, on many different social medias. Link in the description. Make sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.